Greetings of love and in Lakesh, and blessings from myself, Kin 185, on behalf of the Foundation for the Law of Time. I'm so happy that this Noosfera Congress is occurring, and I'd like to thank Claudia Gomez and all the Argentine kin for self-organizing this important event. Anything that we do on behalf of the noosphere helps accelerate the planetary mind and brings us further into unity consciousness, which is so needed right now. And noting that we're all just mirror reflectors of this greater planetary consciousness that is unfolding through all of us. The main question is, how can we grasp a consciousness that is greater than the highest consciousness than we can imagine? That's a big question that I often ask myself during meditation. How can we grasp a consciousness that is greater than the highest consciousness than we can imagine? We feel now on the planet that there is a pressurized atmosphere. Great change is occurring rapidly. And the mind pollution and the polarization on our planet has never been greater. And simultaneously to the third dimensional density, we are feeling the descent of a new energy and a new consciousness that is pouring in right now. And we're also seeing the increased solar activity after a period of a solar minimum. And the solar flares and the plasmas, the increased plasmas are quickening our electromagnetic field, which accelerates the realization of the noosphere. It accelerates our connection to the Earth's electromagnetic field. So I believe that this solar activity is what called this Noosfera Congress to come together at this particular moment in time. And many of us know that the word noosphere was coined in 1926 by three prominent men to describe the next phase of human evolution. And in this next phase, the factors of consciousness would take precedence over our biological nature, which means that ultimately, it's the realization that everything comes from the mind. And the men who coined the term were Russian scientist Vladimir Vernadsky, the French paleontologist Teilhard de Chardin, and the Parisian philosopher Jules Leroy. And of course, it was coined in Paris, France, which is also significant. And then later came Dr. Jose Arguelles Volum-Votan, who took the concept of the noosphere to the next level. And he shares much of his knowledge and realization in his final book called Manifesto for the Noosphere, the next stage in the evolution of human consciousness. So he goes into great detail about the current transition that we are undergoing, which is known as the biosphere noosphere transition, as we are transitioning out of purely third dimensional consciousness into ultimately a telepathic operating system, or the realization that that has already been there. It's just that the veils are now being lifted. And we would like to acknowledge that we are meeting right now in the intermediary stage of this transition known as the technosphere. And the technosphere is the technological sheath that covers over the noosphere. It's a necessary step, and the internet that we're seeing this broadcast over is the virtual noosphere. It's the stage that precludes our full telepathy. It's a sneak preview of what is coming next. So when the noosphere becomes fully conscious, it will invoke a new field of awareness with new possibilities that are not yet dreamed of. So at this stage, the fragmented consciousness will be made whole spontaneously, and confusion will turn into clarity, and we will know all things through resonance and attunement, through directly aligning our vibration with that of the planet. And Jose Arguelles, or Wotan, as I knew him, put forth that the cultivation of self-reflective consciousness is the key to accelerate the realization of the noosphere. So self-reflective consciousness is the opposite of reactive consciousness that we see playing out on the planet right now. And the 13 moon calendar and all of the codes of the law of time are to assist us in activating this self-reflective consciousness that then puts us into a state of continuing consciousness where we no longer fall asleep, where we remain awake to the higher dream and awake to our interconnectedness. And so the power of self-reflection is the key in understanding the deeper meaning of the noosphere. And as we move into this self-existing moon year, or the self-existing, or the ring of the self-existing moon, rather, we will continue to be in a process of purification and transformation. And we are just shedding all of the perceptions and conditionings that no longer serve our pure alignment with the planetary consciousness. And in this new year, we are defining a new form for our service and our service to this awakening noosphere. And so we might ask ourselves, how do we as humans in our individualized consciousness make the leap into planetary consciousness? What do we need to let go of in order to merge with the greater consciousness? So that is the question for the self-existing moon year. And again, I'm so grateful that this Noosphere Congress is happening at this very auspicious time. And no doubt it will help to accelerate the awakening as we dedicate all of our service to all sentient beings and to the greater awakening, which is why we do everything that we do. So I send you all the highest blessings for each one of your roles in this greater awakening, for the realization of the coming noosphere. So signing off with great love and in Lakesh.